What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Welcome to Saturday. Today, we've got a really cool one. Kyle AA0Z has joined me, and we're going to be talking about Node-RED. In this case, it's a Raspberry Pi application you run that takes a lot of the things that you might do manually in your shack and automates them. And Kyle's going to explain how to set it up. And yes, it's easy. At least that's what he tells me. So we'll find out live if I can do it. But it should be a lot of fun. Thanks for coming out, guys, and hang tight. Enjoy the memes, and we'll get started soon. And yeah, big thanks to DX Commander and everybody watching his stream. Thanks, Callum, for sending people over. Appreciate you doing that, bud. Yeah, Callum Channel Raid. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. How's it going? I am Josh, KI6NAZ. I appreciate you guys coming out, watching the Ham Radio Crash Course. Again, we'll be talking about Node-RED. It's really cool. At least I'm going to find out how cool it is. I've been fascinated with the idea, and I thought best thing to do is bring the expert on. And that's Kyle, so he's going to walk us through getting started. So maybe you, too, have a Raspberry Pi ready to go, and all you need is just a, out of the box, I'm using a Raspberry Pi 4. And I have a base OS load. Nothing else to it other than you need to have SSH enabled. So little forewarning on that. So here we go. All right, thanks in the chat. Very good. Okay, couple of things to hit before we move on. I got a couple important notes here. Just a reminder, the Give It the Beans HRCC limited coffee run. We're still selling them, but we're down to our last bit. So if you wanted to get some, now is the time to order it. And that's over at hamtactical.com. It's the merch store my wife runs for the Ham Radio Crash Course. So thank you, Leia, for setting up to Give It the Beans, and all the podcast listeners for making the joke live so long that we had to actually do something with it. A couple of things, not the greatest news, but Zach and Ashley. Zach is a ham, and Zach recently lost his job, basically his career, due to the weather situations, the tornadoes they have. So I'll post the link in the description for their GoFundMe as well, so you guys can check it out. In fact, I'll drop it in the chat right now so that people know about it. A lot of sad news, unfortunately, this week. And the Lee family, I've talked to James many times in person, and at Hamvention 2019 was last time we spoke in person, and saw the Lee family at Huntsville, talked to some of the kids there. So James went in for some heart surgery, and things kind of took another path. They've had some issues, complications with what's going on with his health right now. So I believe he's still in the hospital, and Michelle has said, okay. Jason, Ham Radio 2.0, reached out, and she was okay with him creating this GoFundMe. So if you want to help the Lee family out, that would be cool too. I'll post the link to that as well. So not the greatest news, but Ham's helping out. Hams, I know you guys are taking care of everybody. So I'm bringing Kyle on, and we're gonna get started here talking about Node-RED. But yeah, thanks for checking out the links. Kyle, how are you doing today?
Hello, how are you? I'm good.
I'm very good too. And hey, thanks Ark Thomas for the super chat. Merry Christmas, and thanks for all you do. Appreciate it.
I know for a fact them radio waves is harmful.
And there you go. Everybody loves that noise that it makes when I get a super chat. Kyle, so what's been going on with you? You've been busy, it sounds like.
I've been busy. Been doing some stuff in Node-RED. I'm working on a contesting dashboard. Been doing some portable operating. Contest season is among us, so I've been doing some contesting. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. So yeah, it's been busy. I just did the Ham Radio Workbench podcast today, so that's going to come out probably next year. I'm going to keep it a secret on. I didn't do Node-RED. I did something else, or I talked about something else. So I'll keep that a secret.
Very cool.
On what I'm been up to. But yeah, things are good. It's hopefully we can get some value and knowledge into other people's brains about Node-RED. So
yeah, this is going to be great. I never thought to ask you this, but since you brought up contest season, and yeah, it's definitely upon us. What is your favorite contest to participate in?
Well, my favorite contest is the Missouri QSO Party.
Oh.
I love that contest. But the other, if I had to pick another contest that wasn't local, I would say the North American QSO Party, the whole North American QSO Party contest is probably my favorite. That is where you just try and make as many contacts with people in North America as possible. I think probably my second favorite contest is CQ Worldwide, because
that's a good one.
Yeah. So you can easily, if you are on the bands, especially on a Sunday, whenever the big guns are trying to make as many contacts while it's slow, you can easily contact 100 different countries on Sunday and not get your DXCC through, you'd have to do all the rewards and, get all of the get all the QSOs or the verifications.
Yeah.
But you can easily in your virtual world contact 100 different countries on Sunday during a worldwide contest.
Yeah, that's something that I was talking. I think you were in that discussion too with Sterling. We need more of those big stations when they get those logs from their contest to just upload them to Logbook of the World as contacts. We need to figure out a way to make that standardize people doing that, because there's a ton of people like myself that made a bunch of DX contacts, and I'd like to get those in the log for credit, if you will.
Yeah, there's not a lot of foreign operators that upload their stuff for awards.
Yeah.
Right. They just contest and they use N1mm and they submit the log, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. Again, reminder, or I'd like to point out, everybody that's coming over from DX Commander's live stream, thank you so much for doing so. I really do appreciate that. And thank you, Callum. Appreciate you, bud. We'll be talking about DX Commanders next week. So don't forget, next week is the Christmas live stream. I will be live streaming on Christmas, and I will be continuing my tradition of making something, making an antenna out of Christmas wires or Christmas lights. And this year, I think I'm really setting a bar, so I'm either going to crash and burn right out of the gate, or it should be a lot of fun. It'll be fun for you regardless, but for me, I'll be sweating as I try to make this work. All right, Kyle. So Node-RED, I know you got slides. We got a packed show to be able to get this all done. How do you want to start this thing off?
So why don't I start with the slides, and then we'll break in between the slides, and we'll start loading Node-RED on your Raspberry Pi.
Sounds good.
And try and get that up and running. And then I'll go back to the slides, finish my slideshow, and then we'll come back and finish the install and get you up and running. How about that?
That sounds great. So everybody, you can literally follow along with what I'm doing. By the way, for everybody that is following along in the live stream, I'm dropping a link in the chat. If you go to that link, we're eventually going to use those commands, and just wait for Kyle to give you the word on when to do what, and you'll follow along with me. So cool. Kyle, take it away.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here.
All right.
So let's see. You got me?
I gotcha.
Okay, so intro to Node-RED. What is Node-RED? It's basically you can build dashboards and control web pages for your shack. So this is equipment agnostic. You don't have to have certain equipment. Basically, if you can get input or output out of your shack device, you can probably control it through Node-RED. So what is Node-RED? It's a flow-based programming tool. And don't let the word programming scare you. I'm not a programmer, and I was able to figure out how to get stuff up and running. So don't let that scare you.
Nobody panic. You're not coding.
Don't panic.
You're not compiling.
Panic.
You don't have to do anything like that. You're good.
You're good. It's very easy. We're going to show you how easy it is, right? So it's based on JavaScript for all you programming nerds out there, and it's open source. It runs on anything. It runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi. We're going to run it on a Raspberry Pi tonight. And it hides all of that boilerplate code. So you don't have to make a bunch of functions in order for you to connect to a TCP or a serial port. You just drop a node over, you point it to a certain location or an IP address, and it already connects. So it's very easy. And there's, again, no programming necessary to get up and running. So what you see on the screen here is a typical, what's called a flow. And you can see the nodes where it's got some JSON data, does some formatting, goes through like an if then else statement, and then it displays something. So that's a typical flow that you're seeing here. So what can it control? Anything with an input or output. So Ethernet, serial, USB, radios, amplifiers, tuners, rotors, and antenna switches, relays. Throw the kitchen sink at it. It'll be able to control it, right? So just think of all the things that you have in your shack that you have different inputs into the back of your computer, or you're not able to control because maybe you don't have enough inputs. Now you can connect them all into your Raspberry Pi and have one central location to control and monitor everything in your ham shack. Here's a good example, that tablet. You can run it on a tablet. Well, you can get into the web page on a tablet, but this is like a typical dashboard that you would see, that you would be able to pull information out of your ham shack devices and control it.
That's excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah. So why would you use Node-RED? So again, you have one location to control everything in your shack, right? Why, if you've got stuff all over your ham shack and you're looking all over the place to make sure that your tuner is good and your amplifier is good and your radio is good, why can't you just have that on one screen to look that one location to make sure all of your devices are good, right? Another thing it can do is it can automate stuff. So just think you're chasing DX at 3 o'clock in the morning, let's say Bouvet is online and you're chasing DX and you notice that there's a band opening on 15 meters and you're on 80. Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you might forget to switch something over to 15 meters and be frantic on why you're not able to contact Bouvet. Well, in Node-RED, you can configure it that you click one button and it configures everything in your shack to go to 15 meters, even your radio to 15 meters, and boom, you're on the air, right?
Yeah, I mean, technically, you could even have this, if you had the right equipment, right? Like we talked about, a rotor, right? Like a programmable, or a rotor that has a serial connection. You could have a button or something on your dashboard that says, point to Japan.
Yep.
Or time-based even, right? You could have maybe in the mornings, you always point east if you're on the East Coast and you want to try and get the UK or
exactly
Europe, right? So you could schedule things, right, with this?
Yeah. Yeah. The world is your oyster.
I love it. Love it.
So additional feedback from devices is some of the things that you can get out of Node-RED. You can integrate non-ham radio devices into your shack. So let's say you have a light that says you're on the air. You can integrate that. The really cool thing that I like about my remote station is every time that there's severe weather in the area, it emails me to say, hey, there's severe weather in your area, and then I can shut down everything in my shack. So you can kind of geocache your area and say, give me only severe weather reports if a thunderstorm is, 100 miles away from me. It also gives you alerts, audio and visual, if your SWR is high. So it can talk to you through your computer and say, hey, check your SWR, it's high, versus, you actually looking at the screen. So if you know a blind ham that is looking to put, or is struggling in ham radio, this is a tool that they can announce the frequency, they can announce the SWR, how much power is being put out of the antenna. All of those things can be announced, and it can talk to you to say what the status is.
Like it.
All right. So with that, let's start the install.
Okay.
And we'll go back to, let me stop sharing here.
All right. So let me pull that up. So I'm on my desktop. I am SSH'd into my Raspberry Pi.
All right. So we got a Pi, and you put Raspbian on it, or Buster, or the latest and greatest, right? And then you enabled SSH, and you're SSH'd into the Pi. So if you type in to Google, well, you've already done this, Josh, but if you type into Google Raspberry Pi Node-RED install, it's going to probably bring you to the page that is behind Josh right now. And there's a bash script there that we need to copy.
Okay.
and we're going to paste it right into
Do
the
I need to
SSH.
sudo this?
Nope.
Okay.
Just paste it right on in.
All right.
And hit enter.
I think there's a
hang on.
formatting though.
Yep, you got to.
So let me take out those characters. I'm on now. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that, right? So you got to go up to the bash line and then bring it back.
Yeah.
So
I
I
don't
just
know why
run
I
it.
did that.
I think it's because I've copied off of a website.
Gotcha.
Yes, I do.
So you really want to do this. Yep. And you want to load the Pi specific nodes you do.
Okay.
All right. It's going to go. So
That's it.
that's it.
Oh my goodness. So we'll come back to this, right? But
yeah, it's going to go through its thing. Yep.
Okay.
And then what we're going to have to do after this is enable the service, reboot the Pi, and then we're up and running. So I'm going to share my screen again.
All right. Go for it.
All right. So you're probably wondering what a dashboard looks like. Here's an example of a dashboard. Granted, this is a flex, but your comment, Josh, about you want to point on the screen and the rotor just goes.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a perfect example.
Yeah, so that azimuthal map is literally showing that green pie slice. It looks like where you're pointing your antenna, right?
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yep. So you can see there's a flex radio, a power genius, a tuner genius. There's some switches, and I'll show you. I've got an example. I've got a power switch over here that we're going to turn on and off some light bulbs, and I'll show you how you can actually control all this stuff. So, and keep in mind, tonight we're just going to do basics. We're not going to load any rotors or anything else. I'm going to show you or point you to a groups IO where people have already created all of those flows for you. So you can just go ahead and load all those flows. So here's another example here. Got some buttons and some meters. So my flow is over there on the left-hand side, or my dashboard that I use. And then there's another dashboard on the right.
Mm-hmm.
So here's some kind of non-ham radio stuff you can do. So up in the upper right-hand corner is a gray line chart. The upper left-hand corner is propagation reports. And then you can also pull some weather.
So this is kind of like, you can kind of almost think of this as like a smart tablet or smart display that can both control your ham radio and also provide you, I guess, pertinent ham radio information, right? Like weather, propagation. You could have a, clock geochron type look to it as you're kind of showing there. That's great.
I mean, you can even do house automation with this. This is not node red, or I'm sorry, this is not ham radio specific.
Right.
You can, if you want to dim the lights down whenever you're talking on 80 meters.
That's right. I do.
You can do it. This screen is pulling in a ton of skimmer software, or skimmer spots, and aggregating it into one skimmer. So you can do that kind of stuff. Here is kind of the N1mm Dashboard that I'm working on. So you can see that it gives where it goes and looks up the contact that you just made. And then it displays the score and the QSOs and some radio information. It's got some bar graphs on QSOs by band, does your QSO rate. So this is kind of more stuff that I'm working on for the contesting dashboard.
Who's that KC5HWB guy that you got in there?
I don't know. It's just, I was just plugging call signs in. That guy is a total lid. Total lid.
Yep. I'm kidding, Jason. We're kidding.
So this is a flow that I'm going to load on my Pi here after we get you up and running, and it is going to control that digital loggers AC switch that's that you're looking at. And I'm going to turn on some ports with some light bulbs, and you're going to actually see Node-RED in action. So we'll get to that in a bit.
I love the idea of doing the like home automation because I've got a couple of those bulbs, that
Yeah.
are internet enabled. So when I want to DX and chill, I can set the mute music
You could
correctly.
totally DX and chill.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So we're going to load this dashboard tonight. So you're going to have a Raspberry Pi dashboard. So whenever we talk about nodes, what is a node? So you've got different types of nodes that do different things. The ones that you're probably going to use the most are the timestamp, the message payload, debug node, and a switch node. You can see that you drag kind of a node over to a palette, and that's where you work. But then each node has got some properties that you need to fill out based on what that node does. So a timestamp node usually starts a node, so it injects a timestamp which starts the flow. A debug node does exactly what a debug node would do. It debugs what is coming out of a node, and a switch node is basically like a big if then else statement.
Nice.
You can see that you see over here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but there is little knobs on the nodes. Those are where you connect nodes together to make a flow, and the flows go from left to right. So you can see a timestamp node. It's only got one on the left because you start a node or you start a flow from a timestamp usually, and it's going out. A switch, and if then else, it's got some payload that comes in. The switch does some work to it, and then it goes out the right hand side. So that's how these flows work and these nodes work. Yeah. So here's a sample breakdown. So you trigger the node. So I'm going to trigger it every minute. So I'm going to start the node, I'm going to start the flow every minute. I'm going to get some website data. That data is going to come out of here, out of this node on the right-hand side. And I've got a debug node connected to it just to make sure that the data is good. And I can verify that it is good. But this node is going to convert that data from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And then it's going to flow into this node that it's going to check to see if it's 100 degrees. If it is, then it comes out the right-hand side. It's going to change the data. So maybe I say that I'm going to change the payload, which is kind of the default thing that comes out of a node whenever you do some work to it. I'm going to change that default payload to say it's running hot, and then I'm going to display that payload in a table that maybe has the temperature and the words running hot. But then also I've got actually three things connected to this node. I've got a debug, I've got the display table, and then I also have a TCP port that it might take that data and shoot it out on port 7300 on the network. So that's just a basic flow breakdown on how these things work.
And I think I understand this, and I want to make sure everybody understands this in the chat. Those boxes that you're looking at, that's literally the flow. That's what you use to control the app. You're not doing, there's no scripting or anything like that. You're using these boxes and those little joiners, and the direction of the flow, right, from left to right is literally how it's going to process through the underlying code. So this is really high level abstraction stuff for those of you that are familiar with programming standard or software development. So all the software is hidden in those boxes. It's totally abstracted from the user, and it's basically Legos is what's really happening.
Yeah. It's programming for dummies. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So one of the flows or one of the nodes that you will use the most is this debug node. And whenever you attach it to a node, you can see on the palette, and we'll show you the palette, you can see some of the data that's coming out of that node. And you can do whatever, or that determines maybe what the next node is and how that next node grabs that data and does some work to it. So the debug node is going to be your friend in every single scenario where you think that some data is coming out of the node that you think it is, but really it's not what it is, and you got to put a debug node on it.
Right.
All right. That is it.
That's it.
Well, Node-RED, go to Node-RED website. That they've got examples. They have flows that you can load. The only thing that I would suggest is there are a bunch of cookbook examples. There's the Node-RED YouTube page. Not really the best YouTube page in the world. I discovered a while ago, it's actually the guy who actually programs the back end of Node-RED. So if you have a feature request and you want to get nerdy, that's the guy to talk to. He's over in like England or Scotland or something, and he actually is the developer of Node-RED.
Yeah. Anthony Becerra in the chat says GNU radio workflow is very similar to that. And that's true. So if you actually could incorporate, I bet you there's a way to incorporate this with GNU radio.
I bet so.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a real good idea.
Yeah.
Good point on that.
I'm going to have to take a look at that. That's a really good idea. This Opto video is geared towards industrial automation, but it's got a lot of good info on it. There's a Node-RED Reddit, but here's the holy grail of Node-RED for ham radio. Go to the groups IO and join the groups. There's 900 people in that group. Go and join that group, and there are way smarter people than me that you can post your questions about how to get started. There's a wiki, there's things, there's different videos. I've got videos on how to get started. Go to the groups IO and sign up, and that'll be your one ticket.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
So my script is done.
Okay. So let's go back.
All right. So here's my SSH window.
Perfect.
I'll
Looks like it installed correctly.
And it didn't explode. That's what we're looking for.
So what we're going to do is scroll down to that auto start section on that web page, Josh.
Yeah. So I remember, everybody, I'm on the Node-RED getting started page that Kyle provided on the last link and I provided in the description. So I'm scrolling down to auto start on boot, which is this guy right there. So I'm going to grab this sudo command, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to run it. And boom. Done.
All right. So now we're going to reboot the Pi. So
reboot.
Reboot.
Oh, sudo reboot.
Sudo.
R sudo, not going to work. Hold on.
Not going to work.
There you go.
There you go.
And we close. So, okay, he's going off and doing his thing.
All right. So whenever that Raspberry Pi comes back up, we're going to go to the IP address. We're going to bring up a web page.
There's my Pi. So it's rebooting right now. It's doing its thing. So now we're going to bring up a web page, you said. So this is web-based. So we're going to use a website to get onto my Raspberry Pi.
Correct.
Oh, my goodness. So
that is going to be the interface that we use. And so we're going to go to the Pi IP, and this runs on port 1880.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait a second. I think the Pi is pretty much back on. I think I do have the 8 gig Pi 4.
Oh, you do?
That's it. I think that is what I'm running. So I'm good with the packet for now. So I'm gonna open up a new tab, and if I don't remember my IP exactly, so I'm gonna go to HTTP. It is 192.168.50.14, and that should be a colon. And oh my gosh,
you're up and running.
What? That's it?
All right. Okay. So we're gonna whenever you get this up and running, it's gonna go through a tutorial. I totally forgot about the tutorial. I think you can probably exit out of that, Josh.
I can, and there's 14 slides, but you are my tutorial right now. So
right, I'm gonna be your tutorial.
Okay, so I'm gonna close out of this.
Okay, so what you're seeing is the dashboard. I'm sorry. What you're seeing is the palette. Okay. So you've got all of the nodes that you have preloaded on the left-hand side. Okay.
The nodes, those are the functions, all that stuff.
Yep. All of those are preloaded nodes.
Okay.
You've got the workspace in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then over on the right-hand side, you've got the things to pay attention of is up at the top, you've got a deploy. So that's how we're going to basically compile
the
code. And then you've got some tabs up there. One looks like an information. Another one looks like a debug. There's the dashboard, or we're going to load the dashboard. But those are that upper right-hand corner, and the palette and the nodes on the left-hand side is where we're going to be doing most of our work.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So the first thing you want to do with a brand new Node-RED session is you want to load a bunch of dashboard nodes to get you up and running. So in order to do that, you want to go up to the hamburger menu up in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay, that's right here. You guys can see that little homing sonar beacon. There's your hamburger menu.
Okay, and you want to go down to Manage Palette.
Manage Palette right here. Okay.
So this is how you load different nodes that people have put out on their GitHub or different locations, and this is how you load new nodes onto your palette.
Okay.
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 So we're going to go over to install.
Okay.
And we're going to search on the word dashboard.
Dashboard. So there was a question in the chat that said, do you have to have the internet to use this? It sounds like perhaps for the initial setup, but once you start getting it loaded, then you can be totally headless, no internet, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay, so I'll search dashboard. Oh, I should spell it right. That helps. Oh boy. Okay, lots of dashboards.
Okay, and the one that you want is probably, it's a little fuzzy. I'm having a hard time seeing through the Zoom.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
The UI dashboard, make it a little bit bigger.
Okay,
is there
hold on,
one that's called UI dashboard? Let me make sure on my side. Which one?
So there's 46 dashboards.
Okay, so it's Node-Red-Dashboard. It's version 3.1.2. That's the one you want.
3.1.2. Okay, it's right here.
There you go. Install. There you go. Install.
Okay, install. We're installing.
So that's going to put a bunch of dashboard nodes in your list of nodes that you can choose from.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so then I got a bunch of palette or nodes added to my palette.
Correct.
This is visually, this is really slick. This is really cool. Okay, so I can close this now?
You can close that now.
All right, so I'm getting out of there.
All right. We're going to build you the first flow of your life. This is your life, Josh.
Okay, this is my life, one node at a time.
All right. So in that list of nodes, there should be a ping node. So if you scroll down, there should be one that's called ping. P-I-N-G.
So we're doing a this is a hello world. There's ping. Okay, I got it. So I drag it over.
Drag it over.
Okay.
All right. So you notice that there is a red triangle above the ping.
I see that.
That means that it needs some type of configuration.
Okay.
Let's double click on that guy. And here are the things that it's looking for, right? It's looking for a target.
Okay.
So let's type in google.com.
Okay.
Okay. The protocol, hang on, I think we got some more stuff to do. Protocol, let's say, IP4, sure.
Okay.
Timed, yep. So that means that every 20 seconds, so let's take that down to like 5 seconds.
Oh, man.
Every 5 seconds, it's going to ping google.com. And then let's give it a name of it looks a little, well, I didn't even know what you put.
DDoS Google.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. It's a little fuzzy on my end.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah, click the done button.
Okay.
So it just named that DDoS Google.
Okay.
And so now, in order for us to deploy that node, we go up to the red deploy button.
Okay, red deploy button right there is next to the hamburger menu. So I just click.
You can, but let's do. There's a drop down on that deploy menu.
There is. Okay.
So there are three different types of deploy: a full, a modified flow, or a modified nodes.
Okay.
Pretty self-explanatory, right? Full is like you're going to recompile everything.
Right.
Modified nodes is if you modify a flow, you're just going to recompile that flow.
Mm-hmm.
Modified nodes are, let's say you've got a flow running, but you changed one node, something in one node, and you just want to recompile that
Oh, it's
node.
like a push. It's like a push for like a change to code, like just a snippet of something.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
A little word to the wise: if you're doing modified nodes or modified flows and it's acting weird, go and redo
Do a
full deploy. Okay, so we're going to choose full deploy as our default, which it is our default, and then we're just going to hit the red button to deploy.
Deploying.
All right. So now that is going out and pinging Google every 5 seconds. Okay.
It's happening. It's
happening.
It's happening. Okay.
But how do I know it's happening?
How do I know, Kyle?
So let's take a debug node and let's stick that debug node on that Google. So debug is at the very top.
Okay. Debug.
Take that over and wire those two together.
So I'm guessing I take this little red guy and drag her over and bang.
You got it.
So I took debug here.
Yep.
This guy, dragged it onto the palette. Did you call or the workspace? Workspace. And then I dragged the line. So now they're connected.
Correct.
Okay.
So now we're going to have to redeploy that because we connected them together.
So I'm going to redeploy. Okay.
All right.
We've redeployed.
So now go up to, in the upper right-hand corner, there is a tab that looks like a bug.
Yes.
Click on that bug.
Hey, look at that.
That's
like your log. That's your output.
That is your output.
That's your standard C out.
Yes. Yes. That is the ping time round trip that's coming out of that ping node.
Mm-hmm.
So you can graph that. You can map that. You can put that in a gauge. You can do whatever you want with that node because that default payload coming out of that ping node is the round trip to Google.
Okay.
Now, if Google is not available, it's going to give you a Boolean, which a Boolean is either true or false, right?
Yes.
So let's grab another ping node.
Okay.
So go back to your palette and go and grab another ping.
Did I miss it?
Yep.
There it is. Okay. Grab another ping node.
And now just go in there and give it some dummy address that does not exist on your network, like a 10 dot or something.
Okay.
Okay.
And we want IPv4 timed. We're going to do it every 5 seconds again. Name, failure case.
Yep. There you go.
I can spell again. There we go. Failure case.
Hit the done.
Okay. And could I technically link them together?
You could. Now,
okay.
Do we want to do that?
Maybe not, because then we're going to be intersplicing the pings together. Because it's going to, okay. So I want a different debug.
So you want a different debug, right? And you want to pull that over.
And then I'm going to link them.
So the one thing about the debug is, see how on the right hand of the debug, it's got that green button?
Mm-hmm.
So you can turn the debugs on and off so it doesn't clutter up your...
Oh, so that's a little toggle to deactivate the debug.
Exactly.
There's your Boolean.
So let's turn off the debug on the one
that's working, because we know that's working.
So now let's clear. Okay, yeah, go ahead and deploy. Yeah,
I'm with you though. Let's clear it. Okay, so
let's
now I'm going to deploy.
So the way that we cleared it there was we went up to the trash.
The trash. That's right.
And we just hit the trash, right?
Yep. We trashed it.
So now you're going to turn. Yeah, you turn the debug on.
False. Boolean false. So the payload, we're not able to send a ping packet to my made-up IP address, which is what I titled failure case.
Right.
Makes sense.
So this scenario could be useful on if you've got different things on your network that you want to see if they're up and running.
Sure.
You can use like an LED, and we'll load an LED here in a minute, and to say, all right, if the LED is green, it's up and running. If it's red, it's down.
If the LED is green, the trap is clean. That's right.
That's right. So now that we've done our hello world, let's go to your Oh, you've downloaded them. So
I have.
why don't we load a flow?
Okay. So I'm gonna. What do I do with the flow that's already here?
You can just keep it as is.
Okay. Do I need to stop this? Because right now it's just pinging, incessantly pinging. Do I need to do anything?
So if you want to stop a ping,
Yeah.
you can just delete it and then just redeploy. So you can delete that node and you can delete that node and just redeploy,
And then
and you're
that's
done.
it. Okay. Okay. All right. So now I want to load let's load a flow.
Okay. So go up to your hamburger menu
Hamburger menu back at the top right.
and you're gonna import. So
Import.
if you get a flow off the internet
Mhm.
that's JSON or something
JSON.
else,
Yeah.
this is how you import that flow. Okay.
Okay. So I've saved these to my documents area. I made a Node-RED folder.
Yep.
So I'm gonna bring it up. Go to Documents, Node-RED, and then I've got these couple of files that Kyle here sent me. So we've got a ping, a Raspberry Pi, a solar data, and a geocron. So where do we start?
Let's do the ping since we're in that world.
Since our mind is hey, look, that's actual
Yeah.
JavaScript.
Okay, so one thing to pay attention.
Oh no, wait. Is that? I'm not a JavaScript guy.
It is Java.
Regular, I'm a regular. Well, Java is Java. JavaScript is different.
Right. Actually, it's Node.js if you really want to get down to it.
Okay. Very good.
So, so the one thing to notice here is we've imported the JSON stuff, but what do we want to import it into? Do we want to import it into the current flow or a new flow?
Right. I see current flow or new flow. Well, I don't know. In this case, I left. Everybody in the chat saying it's JSON. It's literally JSON that we pulled
up.
It's
JSON, yeah.
Of course it is, because I was literally opening a JSON file. Of course. So I would say current flow, but we already have those two debugs in there. Was that going to mess things up if I?
Yeah. So let's do it in the current flow.
Okay.
All right. So we've got an error there that we're going to solve, and that is typical for something that you're going to install. And then I think your cursor is different. So go up to the top right hand or the top left hand corner. Oh, it loaded in it forced
it into another.
It did.
Sheet.
It did. Oh, it probably because it had an error. So notice there that this is typical on something that you might get from the internet. You might not have the right things, the right nodes loaded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that we're missing a UI_LED node.
Ah, I see that. Yes.
Right.
There's this red dotted line with a red dotted box.
Right. Right. So to solve that, let's go back to our hamburger menu.
Back to hamburger. Okay.
And then we're going to go to Manage Palette.
Okay.
And now we're going to go to Install because we want to install nodes, and we're going to search for UI-LED.
Was it dash or underscore?
You might be right. I think it might be underscore. So you want
underscore.
Yep. Okay.
Is this it? The top one?
That contrib. Yep. LED.
Okay. We'll install.
It's going to take it a minute.
Okay.
And you're done.
It's added, so I can close.
There it is.
All the red things went away. So this is literally, we just fixed a compiler error or linking. This is linking. So this is like when you did a code, when you took some, I don't know, Stack Exchange, download, copy, paste code, and you just literally did your linking problems. Your library dependencies are all, that was what that was. Okay,
yep.
I got it. That was pretty easy though, as far as that's concerned.
So this flow is done. You're done with this flow.
I'm done. Okay.
So let's.
I'm a hacker now. I'm a script kiddie Node-RED user.
You are ready for DEF CON right now.
I'm going, man. Let's do it.
So let's work through the top flow, and I'll show you some of the things that is going on here. So the top flow is what we just built on that other tab. That is, it's pinging eham.com and it's outputting to the debug, right?
Right.
Let's go ahead and deploy it.
Okay.
So let's,
it looks like there's a lot going on, and it looks like we've created an output, if you will, in the case of these
Yes.
LEDs, right? So it's visually now displaying something.
yes, you are 100% correct, right?
Okay.
So the second flow down there is pinging YouTube,
But there's a function.
but there's a function. So double click on that function.
Oh.
All right. So this is a little bit of code, but this is code that someone else put together, and it's in a function node where you can actually write code, JavaScript code, and bring the message payload in. And this is basically saying if message payload, which is the default payload that comes in and out of a node.
Okay.
If the message payload equals false,
which
so
we
remember
covered Booleans.
Right.
Okay.
So sometimes the ping will give a number on the round trip, and sometimes the ping will give a false if it's not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if message payload equals false, return payload equals false, else return the payload equals true, right? So there was no true there.
It's implied because of the if.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that you can do. You can actually write code in one of these functions. It's not limited to what is in the node. So
that's kind of an interesting way of doing that. If then.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
I'm not critiquing code on a ping function.
I've noticed that there's like 4,000 ways to skin cats, right?
You could literally, couldn't you just, does it have to have, anyway, you could just went message.payload and just, because that's a Boolean, okay, sorry.
You just went down the rabbit hole.
Sorry, I'm doing it. Okay, let's keep going. What do I do? Get me out of here quick.
Hit the done button. Let's get out. I mean, it stinks like rotten eggs in here.
I'm sorry.
All right. So, so scroll up and go into that LED.
The Google
LED.
or anyone.
Yeah, that one. It doesn't matter.
Okay, YouTube. Ooh.
All right.
So
this is a dashboard node with that is going to display an LED, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some things to note here. We put the label of YouTube on it. The label placement is on the left-hand side. The label alignment is on the left. That really doesn't matter. But what really matters is down there. I don't know if you can see that stuff because I'm down there, but
yeah, so that's where you would set the color. So, and this is where that Boolean figure comes in, because it's literally saying message.payload. So keying off of that, again, I'm assuming you have to break all this down to Boolean values for a lot of this stuff to be able to either fire off the next limb of the if-then-else sequence or to illuminate or change something. Yeah.
Right. So if false, red, if true, green, right? Okay. So we're done with that.
Okay.
So now we get into a little bit more complicated where we're pinging Google, and then now we're using a switch node. So click on that the one up above. Yeah, there you go.
Is payload false?
Yep. So now that's a switch node, and it's saying property message payload is false.
Yep.
Go out number one.
And number one meaning the first branch?
The top one.
So you could have 8 branches, and then you'd have to have 8 potential. It's like a switch statement.
Exactly.
Well, it's called a switch. So okay, makes sense. Switch statements are multi-pronged if-then-else sequenced or nested ifs. Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, go out prong number 2.
2, right? And I guess you could keep adding if you had more.
You could.
Yeah.
You could.
Okay.
Yep. So then remember the top one is false. The second one is everything else. Well, now we have to set the payload to true, because coming out of that ping node was not the word true. It was the number, right, of the round trip.
Mm-hmm.
So coming into that set payload to true node is actually a number. Well, we're going to throw that number away, and we're going to say the message payload is true. So if you double click on that guy,
which one?
The
set payload
that one
true?
right there. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a change node, and it's going to say set message payload to the value true.
Oh, I see. Okay, so unless, Because okay, oh, interesting. So it's doing a data type change, or maybe it's just
Yes.
perceiving.
No.
So it's perceiving the Boolean as a 0 or 1, but if the actual value of the ping returned a value of 1, it would have to convert from Boolean to integer or Boolean to whatever, right?
Boilerplate code in the background. Don't worry about it, right? Because
Okay.
so the message, the payload is coming in as a number, right? Because we didn't change the payload in the switch node.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming into the left-hand side as the change node.
Yeah.
And it's basically, if it receives a message, it's going to change that message to true.
Right, because the end result of this is we want to illuminate the Google LED.
Yeah.
So it is yes on every answer but false.
Correct.
LED goes green on every answer except false. Is basically
Exactly.
what that flow is saying.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Right. So
Nice.
in the matter of time, you can pretty much, figure out what's going on in the bottom. But then
this is all just an extension of that. It's going to the internet. It's going to a 10.111. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yep. So we've got some other dashboard nodes down there. We've got the ping. Scroll up a little bit.
Where?
Scroll up on the palette there. Yeah. No.
Oh,
Sorry.
palette.
Scroll down. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I can see it. There you go. So we've got a gauge. We've got a chart. We've got some text over there. So now we've got some things that we need to display on the dashboard. So now we're into lesson 2 of how do we get to the dashboard?
Okay.
Because it's great that you can put stuff on the compile stuff, but where do you, the money is where the dashboard is, right?
Right.
So if you go over to below the hamburger menu into those tabs,
okay,
and you go to the down arrow.
The down arrow.
You'll see one that says dashboard.
I see that.
Okay, click on that guy. So because I loaded these flows, I named them control panel, and that was the tab that we loaded. And then there's groups underneath that tab called Google and network status.
Got it. Okay.
Do a down arrow on the Google.
Okay, got it. Oh, it's all the things that you've grouped into that tab.
It's all the things. Yes.
So everything that's attached to this Google function here, you've basically added to this tab here.
Well, it's all of the dashboard nodes, but you don't have to put them in any specific order. You can just put them wherever you want them. So
So you can drag and drop them where you want them to be. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So think of a tab. So a tab is that command and control. Think of a tab as a page.
Mm-hmm.
And then think of Google and network status as groups of dashboard nodes and things that you put into groups. Like you might put the gauge into a group. You might put the LED into a group.
And this is factoring in the UX at this point, the user experience, all the display characteristics we're talking. I'm assuming this is getting us closer to visualizing what this looks like.
We're about 2 steps away.
Okay.
So the really cool thing about Node-RED is it's got this graphical interface where you can literally drag and drop stuff. So if you go up to the command and control tab and hover over it,
this guy,
see where it has group, edit, and layout?
Yeah.
Click on layout.
Oh boy. Okay.
Now,
all right.
Now it's a kind of a visual description on where everything is at.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get too deep into the weeds on this.
You could go nuts with this. Yeah.
Oh, you could go nuts on this.
Because now you're scaling for like if it's an iPad or an iPhone or an Android phone or a monitor or, a cool little, it could be like a Raspberry Pi screen that you've put up in your shack, right? To just display information like this.
Exactly.
Love it.
So the one thing to note is whenever you're sizing your palette and you're trying to get everything to work together, see where there's a lock button up at the top.
Yeah. Okay.
And then unlock. So see how whenever you unlocked that arrow at the very bottom of that Google chart went away.
Yeah.
So whenever you unlock
it's resizable.
So now whenever you lock it, now you can resize it to whatever you want. So you can drag and drop it however big you want. Now you got to lock it first. This is how it's kind of odd. So now you can
now interesting. So
Yeah.
the lock is for physical placement.
Yes.
And then you lock it to scale.
Correct.
To slide. Okay.
Right. Okay. We're gonna hit the done button.
Okay.
Over there on the red head.
Get me out of there.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So now we're ready to look at the money screen here.
All right, I'm ready.
You can get to the money screen two different ways. You can go to the dashboard layout, which we have over on the right hand side, and see on the far right hand side, it's got that
the yeet
square
button?
with an arrow.
The yeet button. Yeah.
You can yeet to it.
Okay, let's yeet.
You just yeeted.
Look at that. So 10.1.1.1, I got a red LED. But the net and YouTube were good, and wow, this is a pretty cool. So it's got a gauge showing, I guess, current. Is it current or is it averaging? What's it doing? Is it just the current readout?
Current readout. Yeah.
Okay. And then you've got the Google, the value, whatever that is, and a map of, I guess,
a chart of over time what the pings are at.
That's sweet, man. And what's this set to right now for refresh time?
Real time. So
no, how often is it pinging?
I think every 10 seconds, 10 or 15 seconds.
Okay.
We'd have to go back and look at it, but yeah, every 10 or 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't, one of the things that you can do, you can put it in dark mode. So there's different modes and different,
Yeah.
So let's go back to the UI.
So
the palette.
Do I just go back?
Well, no, it's a tab up there. So you're going to have to, it's the second tab, right?
Great.
There you go. So if you go to theme
over here on the right.
Yep.
Oh,
and
gotta be dark. Come
dark
on.
and
That's
deploy.
right. And then deploy. All right.
And
so
now
let
go back to
your. Let me yeet this and then re-yeet this. Oh yeah, that is the ham. If there are hams out there that are not in dark mode, what are you even doing when you're trying to DX and chill? This is what you got to run, guys. Come on. All right.
So let's load some more stuff.
All right. So we are going. So let me see if I got this right. We're hamburger menuing.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to import.
Yep.
And I'm gonna select something like a JSON to import, and we'll do what? Raspberry Pi, solar data.
Yeah. Let's do Raspberry Pi.
Okay, Raspberry Pi. There's your JSON from the JSON file. Thank you, chat. And then we're gonna import. Some of the nodes are importing already exist in your workspace. So
that's okay. We're gonna import a copy.
Import a copy. Uh-oh.
We got another error.
We got a compiler error. We got another linking problem. So we need unit converter. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so now we've got a workspace for Raspberry Pi.
Yep.
So we got to go over there. Well, we don't have to yet, but back to the hamburger menu. We're going to go to
Manage Palette.
Manage Palette, and we need to install. And then we need to, what was it, unit converter?
Yeah, UI unit converter, I believe. Oh, no, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. Unit converter. Jeez. Okay.
There it is. So this is our library we need.
First, yeah, go ahead and install it. See what it does. I don't know if that's the right one or not.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
We will. We will find out real quick. All right, close. Yep.
I think it fixed it.
Yep. Now we want to compile that.
Deploy, right?
Deploy.
Okay,
sorry.
Got it. No, I just need to make sure because I want to be really straight.
I know. Yeah.
And then I need to yeet
it straight.
Oh, wait. Theme. We're dark. Okay, good. We got to stick to the dark theme. And then you just yeet it out?
Well, first, let's go to layout. And let's see what it put into the... So it put another tab in the dashboard called Raspberry Pi. You see that?
I see. So Command and Control has its own thing, and then Raspberry Pi has its own thing. So this is a tab within a browser tab?
No.
Okay.
I'll show you. So let's yeet it.
Okay, we're yeeting.
Okay. It put some stuff on your page, your first page, right?
I see that. So I still have command
Yep.
and control here, which was
But
the
now,
ping.
right? But now go up to the hamburger menu on the left-hand side.
Ah.
Raspberry Pi.
So if I click that, now we've got it's the same Pi information. No, it's more. It's
more.
Oh, interesting. So if
It's
you go
different.
I see. So command and control, we got you got new things, right? We got memory used, we got disk space, reboot, and oh shoot, I just clicked reboot. Did I click reboot?
Oh no. Did you?
I think I might have. I slipped. We'll see. It still looks like it's there, so we'll wait a second. It's got CPU temperature. Packets received doesn't seem to be changing, so I'm guessing it rebooted. We'll see. Hold on. Oh no, it's still there.
No,
okay,
you're good.
Good.
You're
Good.
So,
okay, good.
So what we can
Well, hold on,
go ahead.
So let me make sure I understand. So the first tab for command and control, you added controls to it for Raspberry Pi status and control and the network status. But then you added another tab, and that another tab actually has different information, which is the CPU processing speed and the CPU temperature in a graph.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go and rearrange some stuff. So go back to your workspace.
Okay.
So now move me out of the way. Move me over there. Move me over there.
We're up here.
It doesn't matter. There you go.
Okay.
So now you've got that new group that we put in called Raspberry Pi and control, or Raspberry Pi status and control.
Yeah.
Okay. So down arrow that guy.
Okay. And there are the control objects.
The one above it. The one that's inside command and control. The Raspberry Pi status. There you go.
And there's your objects that you made. So
right. So let's take reboot and let's drag him down to Raspberry Pi and drag him to the very bottom if you can.
Okay.
There you go. Now hit your deploy button.
Okay. Deploying.
Now re-yeet.
Now re-yeet. A reboot is gone.
So now go over to your...
I'm going to drag you back into your place.
Yep. Here. So now go into your new tab.
And we'll go to Raspberry Pi, and there's reboot. Very good. Okay. So this is simplifying a lot of this stuff, right? So this is web-based. So you could literally pull this up on any smart device that you have that's in the same network. Again, not internet. You're using whatever network is attached. I guess if you were geographically displaced from your shack that's running this, you could tunnel in to it, right? If you have the capability to do so. But
correct. Yep. All right, so let's do one last thing, which is ham radio related. Let's load some solar data.
Okay, so we're going to go back to the hamburger menu. We're going to import.
Yep.
Select a file to import, and we're going to do solar data. Again, it's the JSON file, and we're going to import. Okay, no errors in that importation. And now we've got solar data. Okay, so now we're going to deploy.
Deploy.
And then we're going to yeet. And probably a new tab? Is that?
Maybe.
Aha! Okay, so now we have a solar data tab. And there you go. So that's pulling from the website, or is this literally... This is pulling the image from the website, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
It's doing a little bit of formatting and doing some other stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool. Oh, yeah, no, I can see that. All right, very good. So you could do... So walk through some of the logic of if you wanted to, let's say, pull the current operating frequency of your radio. I'm assuming that's a bit in the weeds a little bit, but you could probably talk to it a bit. Yeah.
So you could do it many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
The one way that you could do it is, let's say that your radio's got a serial port on the back of it.
Okay.
Right. And it's RS-232, which just is serial protocol data. Right.
Right.
And Elecraft does this great, where it's got it's got a RS-232 port on it, and you can go to Elecraft's website and you can feed it a command. Let's say it's the command F.
Okay.
So you can interject the letter F into, all right, let me go backwards.
Okay.
So first you need to establish a connection to your radio, right? So what you would do is you would get your Elecraft radio out. You would plug in the serial port onto your Elecraft radio, and you would get like a FIDI USB to FIDI serial connector.
FTDI. Yeah,
FTDI,
you've got a USB cable. So your
USB cable.
Most of them come with this cable, but yeah,
right.
You're plugged in. Got it. Okay.
And you would plug it into a Pi.
Okay.
Plug it into the serial port or the USB port of the Pi. Okay.
Right.
So then you would load off the pallet a USB to serial node, right? And then
do I have that by chance?
You might. I don't know. Scroll down.
UDP serial in.
There you go.
Okay.
You would do a serial in, right? And then you double click on that, add new serial port.
Select the port. Okay. Add new serial port.
So you click on that.
Aha. Here's the things I'm familiar with. So your baud rate would be like whatever you'd use if you're doing WSJTX, you're doing 19200 or whatever, 9600. And then you're adding all this in, and that's going to pull the serial port.
Yep. So
okay.
So then you would, and keep in mind, all of these flows are already created for you, right?
Right.
You're not, right. But you would, let's say the protocol to get the frequency out of the radio is you interject an F into the Elecraft radio, and it responds with 7.200.
Okay.
So what you could do is you could start a timestamp node. So click out of that, hit cancel there.
Okay.
And hit cancel there. Go up to the palette and drag over, go all the way up and drag in an inject node. See that inject in the top? Okay. Drag that over. The default is going to be a timestamp, which is basically the Unix time code, which is like some huge number, right? And it increments every second. What we want to do is we want to say message payload is, and then click the down arrow on the timestamp. And we want to insert a string because we're going to insert, and then just insert an F.
Yeah. Press F to query frequency.
Right.
And pay respects.
And then hit the word, hit done.
Okay.
And then we would maybe interject that into another couple of nodes to get that into the serial. So this is what you've got is the serial coming out. We need a serial in. So you got another serial out. So
that was serial out? No, was it? Okay, hold on, sorry.
Delete that. Get one that's got the node coming on the other side.
Oh, I see. So directionality is important here.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we're gonna make a new serial port.
Yep. So I'm not even sure that this is the correct way you would get stuff out
Maybe
of
not,
but
eventually
you get the point. Right.
I'm assuming we're gonna do something like that. So
Yeah.
we're gonna be blasting F into the serial port, and then we're gonna have to have something after it that's polling on that serial out for the frequency you want to display.
Yep. So if you send it an F, it's going to instantly send you 7.200 or maybe 7.200, 7,200. Maybe it's going to send you 72,000. I'm not really sure what it's going to send you, but then you can use your debug node to figure out what's coming out of that.
So this is interesting because, I mean, again, going back to your debug menu, once you deployed this and you kept sending F every so often to the radio, you could set up a debug menu on that USB
radio waves is
output
harmful
to pull what it's seeing and hearing.
Yeah.
So you likely will get 7.190 something, but it may not be in that format, and then you might have to do a changeover in your UX display to match it to what we expect.
Yeah, you might have to pull over a change node
Mm-hmm.
and say, divide this by 100,
Right,
or
shift.
whatever the case may
Right.
be. Right.
So Andrew H. sent a super chat, riding the stream on the SS Leetness, taking a trip to Yeatville, USA, learning all about ham radio tech integration. Thanks for the knowledge drops. Well, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. Yeah. This is cool, man. Yeah, you got. I mean, it's really quite an open canvas, as long as your device is serial enabled or network attached.
Yep.
That kind of thing. I mean, there's even serial requests, right? So it's bidirectional. So you could, what's serial requests look like? Pick a port and shoot something. Interesting. I'd have to look into that more.
Yep.
I'll get rid of that.
So the one thing to note
Mhm.
here is we're starting from scratch on some of these, but we
Yeah.
also loaded things that are already pre-programmed,
Mhm.
right? So I've said this over and I sound like a broken record, but if you go over to the ham radio groups IO
yes,
and take a look at the file section, I bet you anything that someone has created a flow for your device, and all you have to do is import it and make sure that it's configured to the right interface, and you're up and running.
yeah. So what was that again? That was the
Groups IO, or ham radio, Node-RED for ham radio, or Node-RED for ham radio groups IO. So don't just do a search there. Yeah.
I'm already a member, but I needed to remember that. So we're gonna go to files. Well, hold on. Let's go to me for a second. Make sure I'm logged in here. I am. Okay.
And there are literally probably hundreds of flows.
So where do I go for that? We're gonna go to topics. No.
You got to go into the group.
Oh. Which one is it?
You go to your groups.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
click
okay.
on your group. Yeah, there you go.
Where is Node-RED ham radio? There it is. Okay.
There you go.
And then we go to files.
Yep.
And look at all these files.
And then go to flows by type, or I can't really see that, but up at the top there.
Oh yeah, it's not. There we go.
Yeah, flows by type.
Flows by type.
The first one. The first one.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Amplifiers, antenna switches, miscellaneous, radios, relays, rotors,
Let's go to
tuners.
radios. A lot of flex. We expect to see some flexes in here.
There's a lot of flex in there.
IC7100 makes sense. Kenwood Cat, ICOM Civ. So this is what I would need for my 7610,
Probably.
right? What does that look like? Let me pull that up. Oh man, it's got all the things. So there's your. So you got to have the tech. So you got to have all of this to make this work, right?
Probably. I don't. Yes, I
Because
would
it got a
think
lot
so.
of JPEGs.
Well, no. The JPEGs are just like screenshots.
Oh, okay. Well, let's.
So click on one of those JPEGs.
Okay.
Did it download it?
Yeah. So that's okay. That's a test. That's fine. Let's just download the JSON.
Okay.
And let me get that where it belongs. Hold on.
Oh, Kevin says Kyle mentioned the wiki on the groups. Yeah. So there is a wiki
Okay.
on the groups IO that will get you up and
there it
running
is, right here.
on how to load things from a Pi. And so if you're not using a Flex, you don't have to worry about FR Stack.
Okay.
Basically, getting Node-RED and .NET set up on a Raspberry Pi, that is Flex centric.
Mhm.
I'll tell you right now, if you're not running a Flex, you don't need to do any of that stuff. Go back and rewatch the video that Josh and I just did.
Okay. So let's go back here. So I'm gonna do another import for that JSON. And we've got Civ. This is just the get frequency. So you could go deeper into this if you wanted to, I assume.
Probably.
One flow, 10 nodes, 3 configuration nodes were loaded. And
Okay.
that's what it looks like.
So Well, keep in mind, you probably have to plug your radio.
Oh yeah, I don't have it plugged
Yeah.
into the Pi, but
Yeah.
I'm just
But yeah,
curious
that's
what
it.
that looks like.
Yep, there it is. So keep in mind also that, you know, you only get typically one output on a radio, right?
Mhm.
So it's all right. Do I want this output to go into my Raspberry Pi, or do I want it to go into my computer? How do I like? Do I want to jump into the deep end right now? You know?
Right. So far, this is mainly a like, hey, let's display some stuff on our Raspberry Pi. We could potentially be polling frequencies if we wanted to.
Yep.
And I assume at some point you could have an input that you could change a frequency if you wanted to.
Yep.
So if you again, this is a web based, right? So when we're looking at the dashboard here, these are actual buttons that will send commands, but you could have a toggle button to shift frequency, and it would
Yep.
update with the running frequency at the time.
This also integrates not the smoothest, but it does integrate with a Stream Deck. So you can
Right.
plug a Stream Deck into your PC and then use what's called a REST API
Mhm.
to make the Raspberry Pi talk over TCP over the network to that REST API that is running on your PC that the Stream Deck is connected to.
Interesting. So yeah, you could do with the Stream Deck. Now you're just responding to the push buttons, and those
Yep.
push buttons can literally say, slew the frequency X number, or send this to that, or point the rotor a certain direction.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, this is where to get started, but there's plenty of deeper rabbit holes you can go deeper in the rabbit hole, going further down from here. So that's really cool, Kyle. That's awesome.
So one last thing here. Let me share my screen.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
So let me hang on. Let me figure out how I'm gonna do this. Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me
You can just go back to screen share and all.
actually pull me up full blast there. There you go. Okay, so this is a Digital Loggers web relay. And if I let's see, let me see. Well, I'll show the interface for this here in a bit, but here I've got a bunch of switches, and this is one thing that you can do. I'm going to turn on bulb number 1.
Okay.
There's bulb number 1.
And this is what you've got some kind of toggle control,
right.
or
I'm gonna
display. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yep, I'm going to show this in a minute. So now I'm going to toggle bulb number 8, which is these switches go for about 170, and they've got 8 switchable receptacles in there, and then the last 2 up there are always on. So there's 1 and 2 that are always on, and this is on the network. So over here, this is on my local network here, and you can configure Node-RED to talk to this guy, and I'll show you the flow here in a minute, and I'll show you the interface. But here I'm just turning on number 8, turning off number 8, turning on number 1. So then let me go in and I'll show you what this looks like. Share.
Oh,
so this
cool.
is what this looks like, right? So I can't really, let's see, maybe I can here. I'm going to cheat here. Can you see that? Here's my Stream Deck, but
go ahead. Did you hit it?
Oh,
Lost you. That's what happened because you're once you click that, you're gonna go away.
Yep. Hang on. Why is it not? Come on. Something's. It's not working whenever I share my screen. That's odd. Hang on. Oh, there it went. I don't know why it. So I just clicked the the light, and you
Right.
can see this is the flow that it's injecting a timestamp, which is going out and using a curl command to query the device. It's going through this flow, and this outlet number 1 I just turned on, and you can see it on down here,
Mm-hmm.
and outlet 1 is on. So now let me go back over to my example, and let me turn outlet number 8 on. So now 8 is on, and you can see over here,
Mm-hmm.
outlet 8 is now on.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So this is some of the things that you can do on the web, the DL Logic Pro, to maybe remote your radio, or to remote your power
Mm-hmm.
in your shack. So just an example of, it's not only for just commands, or I'm sorry, dashboard to say what the status is. You can actually do control over it also.
Mm-hmm. That's all. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? Is so that you have this capability, and because you can group these different commands together, one button, you can then go directly to control, your rotor. So again, you could have a button for the 7 a.m. net. You click that button, it switches you over to 40 meters. It turns the beam to 90 degrees or wherever you're at, and sets the radio to the appropriate frequency.
Yep. You
And
got
single
it.
sideband. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And that's just like, those are the automation flows. But there are various things. Dawn already hit on one in the chat, like lightning detection. If you had something, regarding lightning detection, and there are serial controllable antenna switches that exist. And so
Yep.
you could have, and they're very expensive, by the way. You could have it to where it just, grounds out at that point. Or if you have a step IR, there's probably some kind of man in the middle stuff you can do where you can actually go and pick up that, lightning, and then send the command to shut down or
Yep.
or retract the feeds or whatnot.
Yep. Well,
Mhm.
keep in mind, you can take a regular antenna switch, and typically whenever you feed 12 volts to said coax,
Mhm.
it switches to that coax, right? So you could literally get a web-enabled relay
Mhm.
and feed 12 volts into the relay, and then put some logic together to switch an antenna switch
Mhm.
through 12 volts and connect it to your Raspberry Pi and do it that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of options for this. And I
Yeah.
mean, we all just did this real time, right? We ran the script, got the workspace running, and then just loaded some JSON files, and you can download them. A lot of them already exist, and you could probably just tinker with them a bit to find what you're looking for. So,
Yep.
Kyle has a auto antenna disconnect. That's what Don said.
I do. I have. So there is it's a Paradan, and it is a antenna disconnect that is, if you maybe want to bring a web page up and search for Paradan, Paradan antenna switch, and whenever 12 volts is given to this antenna switch, it enables. When 12 volts is removed, it disconnects.
There you go.
So you just saw an example of where I'm turning power on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have just a little bitty, DIN relay
Mm-hmm.
to supply power, and you supply it from that guy, and it turns the power supply on, and it connects your antennas.
Yeah,
this
so
is
then again, you tap that into lightning.
Yeah.
You pull from whatever the command is to pull lightning in your area, and then boom, there you go.
Correct.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yep. So now you know as much as I do about Node-RED.
Okay, this is great. This is great. Thanks for taking the time. Yeah, there's a lot of people talking. There's so many comments in the chat. By the way, chat at Ham Radio Crash Course if you have questions. But I know what we're gonna do because we ran long on this one, and we kind of expected we would. we're going to go to the Discord. Kyle's going to join us in the Discord here to answer any questions and comments, curiosities about Node-RED, and we'll be just doing our standard, ham radio after chat. The Discord link is in the description for this video, so make sure you go ahead and click on that. You can join us. But a lot of comments. One mention was they make a Raspberry Pi relay hat. Well, shoot, that takes all the guesswork out of it, because then you can just fire that off directly from the Pi, fire it into your boy here, and that's just good insurance for your rig, pretty much. I'm guessing too, so you've got a how would that work? Yeah, so you'd put your ground rod and lightning arrestor on the antenna side of that box. It looks like.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's real cool. That's smart. How much does that thing cost?
I think they're $100.
Okay.
$115. You know what?
And it's add 90 if you add on sensor. What the hell's on sensor mean?
I don't know. But
optional power sensor.
Oh, well,
okay.
So I'll shoot you a little tidbit. If you come down to Orlando, which I think some of you are, they are typically in Orlando. And if you talk to the guy directly and say, "Hey, I would like 2 of these," and I bet you that he would probably knock some dollars off, because that's what he did for me. I bought 2 of them and I got a little bit of a discount. So, and especially if you pay cash and you buy it right there, I've seen where these come in a little bit cheaper than what you can buy them on the website. So
Matt Denny in the chat, KA2AUB, says $150 is better than $1,200 for a radio. Yep. Matt, that's smart thinking right there. That's good stuff. I like that. What's interesting is RMJ Westburger says, I hate Alexa, but you know what? I bet you could use Alexa to interface this.
So go back to your palette.
Okay.
And go back to install. No, go to your hamburger menu.
Hamburger.
And go to manage palette.
Oh, sorry. Manage palette. Okay.
Type in Alexa there.
In install or no?
Install, yeah.
Okay. Oh man, well let's go ahead and install that bad boy.
So now you just went down another rabbit hole.
Yeah. Didn't say. Oh, wait, it didn't.
Oh,
like that.
maybe you need some other stuff.
Failed to install. Check log. Oh my god. What am I looking for?
So maybe you need some prerequisites to install that.
Looks like and no install, no audit, no update notifier, no fund. I'd have to look into this. I'm not. No valid versions available for Node-RED Alexa.
So maybe the developer.
It's
I know that they've got Google Voice or Google Assistant integration.
Okay.
So yeah, there are like 3,500 custom nodes that you can install. I mean, this does everything. You can query a database. You can control your lights in your house.
Sure.
Waze, Philips. I mean, it's really for the Internet of Things, and we have just adopted it for ham radio.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're just kind of adapting this for ham radio, and because we have equipment, more expensive equipment, but there's a lot of equipment out there that will allow us to do some of this stuff. This has a ton of value for remoting. So let's say you were running some kind of remote software, like remote ham radio, and you wanted the capability to turn off the amp or disconnect the antenna when you're away from home. That works. That'd be cool. Man, Kyle, this was fun. This is really cool. I'm glad that we could do this live like this too. This was literally, we all did this live. You can do this easily. Again, go check out the links in the video description for the groups.io. It sounds like in the chat, Don was talking about there's a GitHub too. Yeah, if you're down with GitHub, go do that as well, and you can find some of this stuff. But yeah,
I mean, my YouTube channel has got a ton of Node-RED stuff on it too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I've been doing Node-RED stuff for a while, and I've got, I don't know, some videos that you can probably check out.
Kyle is linked in the description, so make sure you go check out Kyle, and that's a fast way to get caught up on this stuff.
Yep, and if you've got any questions, go to the groups.io, and people are there willing to help. It's a really good group. Those guys are really good, gals and girls, and guys, girls and girls, guys and guys.
Good, good. I think you covered them all.
I got them.
All right. Well, Kyle's gonna hop out here in a second and join us over on the Discord. So Kyle, you just go ahead and get started. I'll be a couple of minutes if you want. So anybody who has Node-RED questions, I'm gonna wrap up the show here, and then we're gonna go over to the Discord again. Links in the description, and I'll be live streaming to Twitch while we do that at the same time. So we'll have some more fun playing around with Node-RED. So yeah, Kyle, thanks again. I appreciate it, bud.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. It was fun. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you got up and running. So hopefully we can inspire some more people to get started. So
Yeah, I'm very excited. The stream didn't explode. The Raspberry Pi didn't blow up. I didn't click the reboot button. Everything worked great. Now, if I clicked the reboot button, nothing would have happened because we turned on the auto startup at reboot.
Yep.
So it would have just restarted. We would have just had to wait a little while. So
That's right.
very good. Very good. All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it this week. Again, make sure you tune in next week. We'll be doing our standard Christmas live stream, and I will warn everybody now, if you're not a member of the Discord, I am doing a bunch of Christmas giveaways. I'm going to be giving away a bunch of stuff that I've collected over the year, a radio that I have decided I'm going to part with, and so I'm just going to give it away instead of trying to sell it or anything like that. So we're just going to give it away in the live stream. The only way to get on the Discord or the giveaway is to join the Discord. I apologize. It's easy for me, and that's why I do it. So the link is in the description. I will start posting the giveaways sometime this week, and then that will roll into the live stream next Saturday, which is Christmas Day. I will be live throwing out that RF, so make sure you got your antennas ready. And I will be on 40 meters. I'll warn everybody, we're doing 40 meters again this year. Last year we did 20 and 40, but this one I'm building it. It's just 40. I'm going hot straight into 40. The amp is ready. I am ready. So I hope you do hit subscribe and make sure you check it out. Turn on your notifications so you know when I go live. Okay, last thing. Want to say a big thank you to my patrons. Thank you so much for the support you guys give. Help support our podcast that I do with my wife, the live streams, all the videos. It really does mean a lot, and it helps get the channel actually moving and doing things like this. Because I had to go buy a bunch of gear to make this new antenna that I put together. Had to do my standard weekend run to HRO where I'm not, lusting over radios. I'm literally buying like specialty equipment to do what I have planned. So maybe it's going to be fun. I'm very excited. I hope I don't blow up the antenna immediately. There's a step. Tom says there's a step IR library, and I do have the SDA 2000. So I'm pretty sure that has a serial port in the back. If I can interface that with the Pi, I could Node-RED with my Stream Deck for the Step IR. That's sweet. That's super cool. Anyway, guys, make sure you do join us over in the Discord. It's going to be fun. I may actually pull out another Raspberry Pi and start dinking around with the 705. I've got one of those new Raspberry Pi Zeros that I need to get set up. I've got Build-A-Pi loaded, Jason's Build-A-Pi, KM4ACK's Build-A-Pi script. It's already loaded, but I need to get it set up on the Raspberry Pi. Anyway, yeah, thanks. I appreciate everybody and the questions. Just save them at this point and join us over on the Discord. That's going to be the best way to get started on that. All right? Yeah, I'm thinking now. If you start thinking if I grouped these things that I do all the time, if you start grouping them together and you just push one button, then you do all the things. Well, that's pretty helpful. It's a time saver. I'm looking for that kind of stuff. That's good. Because I've got I start up like a bunch of applications when I start up, and if I wanted to, I could go to the Raspberry Pi completely. Thank you, Brew Crew. I only finished one beer, so I'll crack another one open for when we go live on the Twitch right now. But yeah, man, now my brain is I'm going off in many different paths right now. So thanks everybody for the nice comments there. A lot of people saying great stream. I do appreciate it. I appreciate this is like way in the weeds, but I'm glad everybody stuck with it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll play you out with some memes. Hope to talk to you in a minute on the Discord. See ya. Yeah, definitely spend some money. Who said that? Cyan 2002. Not only time, but potentially money savings. It's true. All right, guys, take it easy. See ya. All right, take it easy, everybody. See ya over on the Discord.